How's it going, guys? Well, welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to... Alright, so I've been told I did not do it right. Chinese apparently has its own thing. I should have. I knew that. I knew I was probably mispronouncing stuff. So thank you to those who pointed it out, especially because you did so charitably and so helpfully. So I'm going to be referencing a little guide someone gave me to get some of these, the basic ones. And I'm gonna do my best, but I would appreciate it if you could point out things I make mistakes on. I'll try and adjust it, but I have a history. If you haven't seen my video of like messing up Japanese words, I have a history of not being able to do it, especially in the moment when I'm like focused on the story and the characters and sometimes even doing voices or whatnot. It gets lost. So bear with me. I apologize to anybody, especially someone who speaks Chinese in the audience, because I know it's just you're gonna be rolling your eyes at me, but I'm doing the best I can. But thank you guys so much. I'm glad so many of you joined us for the first episode. Hopefully you found it intriguing. Hopefully you went and grabbed this on Steam. Something I didn't make note of in my first video. If you like this game, it is free on Steam. At least the first bit of it. Looks like the idea they're going to go for is like you can play the first, like, I don't know, maybe like a third of it. Absolutely free. Enjoy it for yourself. And then if you are interested, you can then support the developer by purchasing the second and third parts. Which is, I think, a great idea. I think visual novels often are a tough gateway for people. A lot of people aren't willing to jump into something so different from what they're used to playing. And so it's a great option, and I hope you take advantage of it. So I honestly wouldn't even be bothered if you pause the video here, go grab the game on Steam for yourself, play through what you can for free, and then join me again to kind of see what you think and like what I think and kind of do comparing of notes. But, you know, it's just me. I always am going to be a champion of supporting the developer. Anyway, haven't even said the game's name yet because I'm going to try and say it correctly. So, a friend of mine sent me a little list saying that I was saying Jiang, but apparently it's more like sh instead of G. It's like sh. Well, at the end of it is sh instead of okay, I'm messing this up already. All right, so all together, Jiangshi is how I should be saying it. Jiangshi. I'm gonna try that. So Jiang, X. So and then the other one is Jiangshi and X Daoshi. The title of the show. Jiangshi Daoshi. I guess. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try and do better at that. I hope that's right. Let me know if I'm doing it right. Am I slaughtering it and making it worse? Probably true. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sure that was horrible to watch and listen to, but thank you for your patience. Let's jump back into the story. So we have the Daoshi priestess who came down from the mountain, who's looks like she's a child, but she's not like 500 years old, and she's taken a ex-assassin as her apprentice. Long, I think his name was, I don't know. But unfortunately, as his past caught up with him, he kind of died protecting her. And she was able to seal his soul into his body. So now he is a Jiangshi, which is effectively like a zombie, but like obviously they play by different rules. So now the quest is to go and try and save his soul and refuse his body and soul and bring it life again so he can be alive. So that's where this journey begins, and we join with our narrator, who I'm guessing is going to be like the Merlin of this story, because he looks too important to just be a narrator. I'm sure we'll see him eventually. So we meet again, dearest audience.
それではこたびはまず千人について解説から始めよう。千人とは我が身の内部に対極へのタオを通したもののこと。無限の力を持つ対極と通じるということは、不老不死、永久不滅、混合不への存在となるということだ。さて、対極へ道を通す方法は2つある。1つは内探。自ら気を練り、その気によって不死を得る方法だ。
Alright, so internally becoming like effectively immortal is about enlightenment, firstly, or
天地の気を吸う体側や、その気を全身に巡らせる動員行気が内探の修行法にあたる。
Embryonic breathing. That's an interesting term.
中国憲法の一つ、太極拳も元は動員の動きであった。
Okay. Tai Chi.
もう一つは外観。薬を用いて不死を得る方法である。
Alright, medicine. So, cold food powders effects?
練炭術ともいい、西洋の錬金術とも関わりが深い。
Okay.
西洋の道術研究者。例えばカール、なんて読むんだこれ。
Carl what?
心理学者としても有名なカール
something.
ユングとリヒャルト・ヴィルヘルムが道術の基本、タイツ金化収支を翻訳し、注釈を加えた本を1929年に発行した。
Okay.
黄金の花の秘密という本だ。なんだか日活ロマンポルノにありそうなタイトルである。
Okay. Sure,
こ
yeah.
の本の中でユングは練炭術を錬金術と訳している。また7世紀頃、中国で生まれた火薬は練炭術によって生み出されたものと言われている。
That makes sense, but why are you suddenly selling some kind of anime figurine? Creepy? What is that?
この不死の薬
What is happening?
あるいは金丹といい、数多くの皇帝、始皇帝や漢の武帝などが求めたが、果たしてそのような薬が実在するのか。
Yeah, I have a feeling like too many people have died in the hope of an elixir of life that was nothing more than a rumor.
そして実在したとしても、何の副作用もなく不死が手に入るのであろうか。
Oh, definitely not. Yeah, no, that's absolutely going to be a truth. Well then, if I could just receive your full attention. Let us now travel to the front of Luan's abode, consumed by flames just a short while ago.
家も焼けちゃったし、居場所も組織にバレちゃったから、どっか遠くに行きますか。
Said Luan after giving his charred remains of his thoroughly decimated home a languid glance. New version, under the bandana. One could sense the literal coldness in his words. He was now a man forever robbed of his internal heat. Luan had spent a good chunk of his life at this hideout, yet he displayed not a shred of attachment to it, or rather, the concept itself had never existed to him to begin with. The same could have easily been said of a human and life itself. Well, except for the little girl in front of him.
よし、では我が石戸馬号の後ろに乗るがいい。
Right, I forgot the little bike was called the Red Hair. For whatever reason, everything about her expression radiated absolute confidence. To put it in more common terms, she looked almost intoxicated? In fact, until a few moments ago, Ling Ling had been desperate to scrub the dirt and sit off her bike. Her efforts were rewarded. A trusty vehicle now sparkled, like it was brand new.
さあ、はよう乗るがよい。
その大脱走的なのもいいっすけど。
Luan continued, shifting his gaze from Ling Ling to the bicycle.
師匠まだ自転車乗れないっしょ。組織は俺が死んだと思ってるから、いや実際に死んじゃってんすけど、まだ手配済んでないだろうから電車を使いましょう。
That's a good point. Try and lose tracks, maybe they'll just assume you died there?
電車
Asked Ling Ling with her head cocked. Art of China. That was a weird, very quick cut.
大きいな、大きいな。
Exclaimed Ling Ling, her eyes lit up with excitement. Considering it was her first time seeing a train, one could hardly blame her for getting excited at the sight of what was likely the most intricately designed vehicle she'd ever laid eyes upon. Man, if she ever gets a plane, she's gonna freak out. Only the most hardcore train buff would have admired this particular model of transportation with a look so jubilant. Perhaps she must have been one in another life.
まるで鉄の竜だ。良いのか？本当にこれに乗っても良いのか？金子は大丈夫なのか？すごく高そうだぞ。
Ooh, she has true silver coins, especially if they're 500 years old. She could probably make some serious money with that. Ling Ling was correct. The steel vehicle certainly looked intimidating enough to deserve being compared to a dragon. In her archaic mind, it would have made perfect sense for Taishang Lao Jun himself to be riding one. To her, a train looked about as mesmerizing as a time machine or intergalactic railroad would have to the modern man. In the real world, a ride only requires plutonium. Whoa, wait, what? A ride only requires plutonium, capable of producing I.2i gigawatts. So are those supposed to be ones? 1.21 gigawatts worth of power, but Ling Ling, of course, had no way of knowing that. So if it's talking about plutonium, it's referencing power from a nuclear power plant? Because I doubt they're actually plugging plutonium into it. Unless these guys have some kind of fission/fusion. Well, if it was fusion, you'd use hydrogen. Fission, like, train engine.
大丈夫っすよ。電車の運賃はそんなに高くねえっすから。
それはよかった。では乗ろう。はよう乗ろう。
Ling Ling exclaimed while pulling Luan's hand. I can't wait for someone to be like, how old is your daughter? And she'll be like, I'm not his daughter, I'm 500 years old. Ling Ling gazed out the train window, a dopey voice escaping her wide open mouth.
景色が横に流れておる。見よるわ。すごいぞ。早いぞ。
気に入ってもらえて何よりっす。
I like how chill it is. Like, I mean, last episode ended in freaking like craziness, and now it's just like la da da, just hanging out, doing our thing. In that moment, Ling Ling took note of her hard, rhythmic yet strangely pleasant melody of the train wheels against the rails. Trains do sound nice.
ガタンコトン、ガタンコトン。
ほらほら師匠、そろそろ座って。お昼も近いし、飯にするっすよ。
今日の昼下は何ぞ？
Ling Ling looked at Luan with eyes of starved beast. Or more specifically, the eyes of a hungry little kitten.
サンドイッチっす。
Said Luan as he took out one from his basket and handed it to Ling Ling. Bread, lettuce, ham, and bread. Ling Ling gave it the unfamiliar dish a scrutinizing look, then took a bite. Next moment, her face bloomed like a flower. Sheesh, she's so easy to please. Don't give her a Twinkie. Oh gosh, what would that do to her? She then proceeded to wolf down the remainder of the sandwich with the zeal of a warehouse rat.
この具を挟むふわふわもちもち。
パンっす。
シャキシャキっとした心地よい歯触りの野菜。
God, how is she making a sandwich that sounds so amazing?
レタスっす。
口の中いっぱいに味が広がる燻製肉。
That's the ham.
ハムっす。
そしてこの白いタレ。
What is that picture? What is that picture? What is that? The mayo?
これほどビビなタレがあったとは。おいしいの、おいしいの。
Ling Ling's expression melted as she licked the mayonnaise off her fingers. Oh boy. Oh boy.
マヨネーズっつ調味料っす。エビを炒めたもんにそれを混ぜた料理があるんすけど、今度作るっすよ。
本当か？今日食べたい。今夜食べたいぞ。
Ling Ling exclaimed as she leaned forward with sparkling eyes. In that moment, the sunlight filtering through the train's window adopted a softer hue, a color denser than cherry blossom, yet fainter than plums. Beyond the window, they saw an orchard of peaches extended into the distance. Ah, peaches. I love peaches.
芋か。もう散り始めているが美しいな。
Said Ling Ling, with a somewhat wistful expression as she gazed at the sight like it was something straight out of Tao Yunming's peach blossom spring.
消化もいいっすね。来年満開の時期に行きましょう。バスケットにサンドイッチ詰めて2人一緒に。
Aww. Ling Ling's face froze up at Luan's words. She then promptly fell silent. Guilt, uncertainty, and determination vied for dominance in her gaze as she struggled to form her next sentence. Oh, he doesn't have that long, does he?
どうしたんですか、師匠。
そのルアン、いつか言わねばならぬと思っていたが。
Ling Ling turned to face Luan before continuing in a low voice.
我の寿命はあと1年ない。
Wait, whoa, she only has a year? What? Is that because, like, will time just catch up with you since you came off the mountain? Luan's face twitched in response to Ling Ling's confession.
マジっすか。
本当だ。
Said Ling Ling.
我は内丹の動員行基で調整を得たが、対局へ至る他を通すには気が足りなかった。
Oh.
もはやこの身は限界なのだ。
Okay, so that's why you came down, because you just couldn't reach the full potential.
このままではあと1年足らずで我が身は怪人にキスだろう。
Ling Ling's emotionless face shifted to an apologetic expression as she finished her explanation.
師匠が500年経って下界に戻ったのは。
残りの時間が短いからでもあったのだ。
Oh, crap. Though, it also means he has less than a year, because I'm guessing it's her will and her ki, or chi, I don't know. I've heard it both ways at this point. Like, people saying the right way to say it is ki or chi. I'm just gonna go with it. She's gonna run out, and when she runs out, he'll become like a puppet with its strings cut, because without her power, he can't be bound in his body anymore. Ling Ling directed her gaze at Luan's forehead, or to be more specific, the seal on it.
すまぬ。もしそうなったら、我が禁術が破れ、そなたの魂魄も死散してしまう。
So then you could argue that if they can just get her to live forever, then he'll be okay. Technically. Hopefully both, but if you only get to pick one, pick her.
師匠。
何？だが案ずることはない。
Ling Ling's expression changed. Determination, like a sword pulled from a scabbard, now burned in her previously dreary eyes.
内丹では1000人になれなかった。ならば、外丹にて至るのみ。
Right.
外丹？確か不老不死の薬のことっすよね。
Over the past month, Luan had learned a fair amount about, okay. Daoshi.
その通りだ。この世界のどこかに外丹、不死の先端はあるはず。
Yeah, I think that's how it's supposed to be. I keep rereading the notes because I'm like, I want to get this right, big, but I don't know.
必ずやそれを見つけ、そして
Ling Ling smiled.
必ず来年も桃の花を見ようぞ。
うい、師匠。そん時は腕によりをかけて弁当を作るっすよ。
This is kind of sad though, because like, if they can't find it, maybe that's what this will be. Within the year, they have to kind of come to terms with death, you know? That'd be an interesting journey. Luan answered the girl's smile with his own.
その時は私もご一緒させてくださいな。
Oh dear, who are you? A woman's voice suddenly rang out in the cabin. Who? Who is this? Upon turning toward the direction of the mysterious voice, Ling Ling saw a young woman holding a steel fan.
気配をみじんも感じなかった。
Uh-oh. Ling Ling felt a cold sweat break out on the back of her neck.
久しぶりっすね。鉄線公主、イエン姉さん。
Sis Yen like his sister Yen, or is Sis Yen just like her title? Luan revealed the woman's name.
ええ、うーちゃんも元気そうで何よりです。
Yen answered with the smile of someone who had just run into an old acquaintance by accident.
知り合いか？
俺がいた組織のボスの娘で、イエン姉さん自身もシャーシューっす。
Ah, right. Which is bad, because now somebody knows where you are and that you didn't die. That's unfortunate.
シャーシュだが、この前の輩とは格が違う。
で、何の様子か姉さん。できれば見逃してほしいんすけどね。
Luan said while readying his dagger. Oh, that's bad. He was ready to cut off his old acquaintance's fingers and sever the tendons in her hand and gouge out her eyeballs to fully neutralize her if she meant him harm to Ling Ling. Luan swore never to kill again, but if the circumstances called for it, he would not hesitate to answer violence with violence. In which case, merely incapacitating her body might not be enough. Perhaps taking the woman hostage and thoroughly breaking her mind would be needed to prevent any further attempts at revenge. He's thorough, making her beg for death, renouncing every good thing that ever happened to her, or firmly rejecting all desire to savor the joys of life, to the point where she would regret even being alive seemed most desirable. Not killing one's enemies doesn't necessarily mean showing them kindness. Ooh, especially in the case of someone like Luan Wu.
安心してください、ウーちゃん。もう組織はあなたを狙うことはありません。
Yen smiled. It looked like a friendly gesture, yet one could feel an undeniable iciness in her voice.
それは本当か、イエン殿。
Oh, Ling Ling asked with relief. I keep forgetting that they don't read that line. A lightning slash pierced the air. Yen swung her fan mid-sentence. The tip of the blade cut Luan's bandana in half, revealing his forehead and the seal on it.
ウーちゃんもう死んでるんですもの。
Right.
早い。
Witnessing Yen's ungodly speed made Ling Ling break out in cold sweat. Luan, on the other hand, remained unimpressed.
俺が死んでキョン知ってること知ってたんすね、姉さん。
組織の情報力を甘く見ないでほしいです。
Yen's lips curled into a cunning smile as she began fanning her face with the steel weapon in her hand.
ウーちゃんは組織を抜けた。私たちはけじめにウーちゃんを殺した。これで遺恨はありません。あ、そこ座ってもいいですか？
どうぞ。で、何の様子か、姉さん。
新手のドラッグが出回ってまして、組織としては大変困っているのですよ。そこで、ウーちゃんとそこのリンちゃんに解決してほしいのです。
Why? He left. Why would he do anything for them?
はあ、なんで俺が？それに師匠まで。
そっけないですね。でも続きを聞いてもらえれば興味を持ってもらえると思いますよ。
Yen pulled out a bottle with some sort of liquid in it.
これが出回っている新種のドラッグなんですがね、不死身になるんです。
Okay. Both Ling Ling and Luan reacted to Yen's words. Yen smiled, pausing to enjoy and thoroughly savor the sight, and then parted her lips again.
どうです？興味は出てきましたか？
Why don't I believe you at all? Mostly because why would this information just be dumped right on their lap, like for free? I don't like it. Okay. Yeah, I think we got time for another one, of course, because this would be a very short episode if I stopped it here. But that is interesting. Like, how can it just be, like, right in their face right now? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. Jiangshi and Daoshi. I shall devote tonight's discussion to intricacies of Senten. Okay.
この皇帝宮廷新丹鏡にはその名の通り9種の先端製造法が載っている。
Okay, so 9 ways.
例えば単価という先端は黄香水、盆石水、十円、露塩、晩石、母霊、釈石子、なめり石、五粉を使うとある。
That seems fairly easy.
この中の黄香水は硫化ヒ素のことだ。
That seems a little potentially bad. Arsenic sulfide?
当然、こんなものを飲んでも体を壊すだけである。他には水銀を含む新車を用いたものが多い。
Right.
水銀中毒死した死体が腐りにくいことから永遠を連想させたからであろ
う。Interesting. Ironically, that the mercury would kill them, but then makes them like rot slower, and that makes people think that it makes it easier for you to become immortal.
しかし、現実には水銀を飲めば死ぬだけだ。
Yeah, never drink that stuff. It'll kill your liver and you'll die.
資料こそ多いが、
And it kills
な
your
かなか
brain.
本当に不死になれそうな先端は見つからない。どれもこれも危険極まりない薬ばかりである。しかし、本物の先端とはこれ以上に危険なものではないだろうか。
The real Sentan.
飲むだけでたやすく不老不死を得られるなんて甘い話。ある
Right.
わけがないのだ。
Yeah, that's a good point. Well then, if I could just receive your full attention. Our story continues inside the galloping steel dragon, better known as the train to the modern reader. Yen brought a man. While of muscular, healthy frame, his empty eyes showed no more life than those of a dead fish.
こ
No
の男
spirit, no life.
エンドの
Ling Ling asked with a mix of interest and fear.
組織を襲撃したジャンキーです。その時はマグナムを3発頭に受けても死なず、恐ろしいほど暴れ続けました。
Oh crap. It probably just turns them into Jiangshi, just like Luan is, but maybe they don't have their mind anymore.
しかし突然このような状態になってしまったのです。
No spirit, no life, void. Just a blank space in the universe. The man's demeanor betrayed not a hint of conscious will, almost like he was a mannequin devoid of life.
リンちゃんの前に行きなさい。
The man obeyed Yan's words quickly and without hesitation. Though with unsteady steps, he reached into the command with nigh uncanny speed. It reminded Ling Ling of an insect automatically reacting to stimuli. Put the banana back on,
こ
yeah.
のように言葉には反応しますが、自身はまるで焦点がないようなのです。医者に調べさせてみましたが、肉体に異常は一切ありませんでした。そしてどうやらこれは同日によるものらしいのです。
There was a hint of irony in Yan's tone.
少し調べてもないか。
どうぞ。
では
Ling Ling touched the area around the man's belly button.
何かわかりましたか？
丹田が消滅しておる。
Tendon.
水庫に襲われたものに近い症状だが。
So, Suko, similar to a kappa. Tendon was a common name for the three places where ki or chi accumulated in humans, between the eyebrows, the chest area, and around the lower abdomen. Countless sources implicated that the mythical ball that kappa hunted humans for in Japanese folklore was actually the tendon in the lower abdomen. That it fueled biological activity, and when lost, left humans as mere empty shells. Ling Ling opened a medicine bottle. A sweet scent reminiscent of overripe peaches filled the cabin. The vermilion liquids inside sparkled in hues far more brilliant than blood. It was likely cinnabar.
なるほど、わかったぞ。これはギタンだ。
Yitan.
ギタン？
Luan and Yen both cocked their heads at the unfamiliar word.
不完全な先端だ。
Ling Ling screwed the cap back on the bottle.
一時的ではあるが、我が身を対極へつなげることができる。
Okay.
しかし、修行を積んだ同志以外の未熟な者が服用すれば、対極へのタオが閉じるときに、己が身の内を引き込まれてしまうのだ。
Crap. So wait, is this all still in him, just trapped?
津波の引き潮が全てを持っていくようにな。
Wow.
ってことはこの男は
Luan spoke in a scrutinizing tone.
魂も何もかも全て対極へ引き込まれてしまった。ここに残ったのは抜け殻だ。
Ling Ling made a pained expression. She then looked at the man, seemingly wanting to tell him something. In the end, all she did was lower her gaze and utter a hushed apology.
そうだったのですか。ギター？あ、それは何かの参考に取っておいてください。
Why are you something so creepy?
預かっておいてくれ。
了解っす師匠。
Ling Ling almost forcibly pushed the bottle into the young man's hands. In contrast to the girl's choppy motions, Luan took the medicine with the fluidity and precision of a bomb expert, handling the detonator before carefully placing it into his pocket. Ling Ling felt anger toward the concoction that robbed people of their very being.
そうだったのですか。ギター？
She then looked at the man, seemingly wanting to tell him something. In the end, all she did was lower her gaze and utter a hushed apology.
了解っす師匠。
Why are you something so creepy?
あ、それは何かの参考に取っておいてください。
Luan, on the other hand, evaluated it in a more objective manner, appreciating its utility.
さて、このギターの製造工場の破壊を依頼したいのですが、引き受けてもらえますか？同術を使えぬ我々ではどうにもできないのです。
Yeah, look at that, the sweet eyes.
面倒っすよ。なんで俺らが。
よし、引き受けよう。このような危険極まりないギターをまき散らすとは許しがたい行為だ。イエンども、火山が同志リンリンの名において必ずやその悪党どもを成敗してくれようぞ。
I heard at that time, Daoshi, like Sashi said, so thank you. It sounds like I did get proper instruction. Ling Ling exclaimed with her holy sword held aloft. Luan looked to Yen like he was about to say something. Noticing his gaze, the woman broke into an amenable smile.
まあ、師匠がいいっつんなら俺も反対しないっすけど。
They're playing. They're puppets too. Great.
Seatbelt.
Seatbelts. Why did they say seatbelt? Dog? It's like you're the dog kind of thing? Or it's just weird that the instance is a weird English. Milky white limestone lined the eroded mountain surface. It stood as a reminder of a period beginning as early as the heyday of a peculiar Burgess Shale's creeping, crawling organism back during the Paleozoic era and lasting until the Mesozoic era. Age dominated by building-sized dinosaurs that ruled the land and its undisputed masters. These days, however, there was no more dazzling corals adorning the reefs. If anything, he would only make himself look like a fool if he chose to wear a swimming suit here. Similarly, erecting beach houses in this area would be nothing short of a colossal marketing blunder. After all, the place was a mountain valley, far removed from the nearest shore. A prefab around these parts would be more akin to a mountain hut rather than a beach hut. There were no huts to be found here, though, only a factory for transforming limestone into cement. Only giant machines made of metal, old and weathered like the skin of an old woman in her 30s. Wait, that's an old woman, someone in their 30s? I take offense to that. And crumbling concrete walls remaining here, forgotten by time itself. Right now, though, they produce something different from cement. Sir, we've received a new shipment of models. The man making the report was holding a gun. Two girls stood in front of him. Teens by the look of them, fairly attractive ones too, though it might have been a little early to call them beauties. Rather than gorgeous bouquets decorating the lavish room, they evoked the simple charm of wildflowers by the roadside. You either appreciate them from afar or pluck them to take with you. What is happening here? Answered a muscular man in a working uniform, the alleged supervisor. Calling him intimidating would have been an understatement. He radiated a nigh palpable aura of animalistic savagery. On top of that, his eyes gave off a sly, cruel glint. I don't like this.
私たちなんでここに連れてこられたんです？
Asked one of the girls in a sheepish voice. Despite the visible distress in her eyes, she stood chivalrously in front of the other, smaller girl to defend her.
お姉ちゃん。
The smaller girl clutched her sister's leg with trembling like a leaf. Pretty sure I gave you the lowdown when I approached you on the street. You'll become idols on par with Taomi Nanyan. We're prepping for a promo show right now. A deafening roar of a chainsaw interrupted the man's monologue. The girls' countenances turned ghastly pale the moment they saw the abominable instrument. Why did you go with these people? Oh no.
君たちみたいな可愛い子がバラバラにされる様子を見ないと生殖器が正しく反応しない人がいるんだよ。しかもお金持ちのね。
Holy crap, it's a snuff thing? Oh my gosh! The supervisor clutched the head of one of the girls and made her face him.
安心しろよ。このお薬を飲めば数時間は死なないから。何度も何度も何度も何度も手も足も首も胴もバラバラ粉々ぐちゃぐちゃズタズタにされても知らないから。
How is it that we have access to the kind of cheater immortality and immediately this is what happens? Seriously, ugh.
脳みそも眼球も肝臓も胃袋も子宮も生皮を剥がされたありのままの姿も全部ちゃんと撮影してやるよ。
Oh boy. With that, the man drew a bottle of Gitan closer to the girl's lips. Ignoring their screams, the men amused themselves with idle chatter like they were in front of a water cooler. Using this stuff for snuff films was a stroke of genius. A snuff film is an illegal type of movie in which a person was actually murdered on screen. This crap makes you immortal, but it takes just one dose to lose your mind. It's worse for business. It's worse for business than heroin. Yeah, which is why the boss figured we should use it to film kidnapped women instead. Ugh. Ugh. So aggressive. Sorry. My brain's like shutting down. The woman becoming obedient puppets after filming was just the cherry on top. We can traffic them for sex trade and even cut them up and sell them their organs for a pretty penny. Unlike other drugs, this doesn't mess up your insides. That said, you think the boss got permission to do this from the Daoshi that gave us the recipe? By the way, can I point out that this entire escapade thing is $400 after it's all over when they send one off to you, mail order bride style? $400. I really doubt it. Huh, that won't get us killed, will it? The chatter finally caught the attention of the supervisor.
おいてめえら、何ポケットしてんだ。さっさとカメラ回さねえか。
Sorry, boss. The man hurriedly readied the camera.
ち、クズが。
In that moment, the supervisor's ringtone broke the silence. Oh no. Completely destroying the tense atmosphere in the factory.
もしもし
Should put that in silent mode.
はじめまして、工場長さん。
A seductive woman's voice tickled the man's eardrum from the other end of the line.
私、イエンと申します。
鉄線講師とイエンか。
Uh-oh.
なんで俺の番号を。
うちの組織の諜報力をなめないでほしいです。それより、この諜報力で得た耳寄りな情報があるのですが。
なんだ。
そちらに向かった襲撃者の情報です。一人は同志ですよ。
Now, is she playing both sides, or is this actually part of their organization? I honestly think the latter. All about the money.
ここから先は有料になりますが、いかがいたします？
どうし。
The situation smelled of danger, and the supervisor thought. He instantly came to a decision, but made sure to spend some time making a show of worry. Acting too interested would have made the deal more expensive, especially since he had to decide not to waste time on haggling. If worse came to worse, the woman, driven by her dissatisfaction with the price, might have decided to sell the information in smaller portions, which had the potential to cost even more in the long run. Of course, there's no guarantee she'd outright reveal everything anyway. However, both parties found it more desirable when the other willingly lowered the price instead of having to be asked. A minor thing by all accounts, yet the fact that the supervisor could make these decisions in the span of seconds was precisely the reason he'd be assigned to this role.
いくらだ。
30万円。
30,000.
いいだろ。買おう。
お買い上げありがとうございます。
He'd write down 50,000 in the account book. And he was thinking that the supervisor received the information from Yen.
おいお前ら、撮影は後だ。今からここにバカ2人が乗り込んでくる。お楽しみはそいつらをぶっ殺してからだ。
Ooh. The men groaned in discontent and drew away from the already undressed girls. The supervisor gave the trembling but somewhat relieved girls a look.
よかったな。正義のヒーローが来たおかげで、あと数時間は無事に過ごせる。でもな、そいつらの切り取った頭をお前らの股ぐらにぶち込んでやる。文字通りの意味でな。
It doesn't even feel like the same game. Like, it doesn't even feel at all like what I was playing just 20 minutes ago. The man let out a roaring cackle and left the room.
お姉ちゃん。
The two girls clung to each other as they continued to tremble. What is the following scene?
Now here it is! One time!
Right.
ここがイエンドノの教えてくれたギタン製造所か。
Said Ling Ling as she appraised the place from outside.
見張りがいるっすね。ちょっと黙らせますか。
Luan squeezed his fists.
騒ぎを起こしたくない。壁を抜けてこっそり潜入しようぞ。
That is such a handy trick. With that, Ling Ling began to slowly advance forward.
抜き足差し足忍び足。
Closing in like a cat on a mouse. Ox walk. Snail's pace, progress. It took a while until they reached the other side of the building like that.
さて、まずは我が壁抜けで中に入って様子を見る。ルアンは外を見張っていてくれ。
了解っす。
まさか敵も壁を抜けてくるとは夢にも思うまい。
Oh, but they know what you are. They know you're a Daoshi. With that, Ling Ling used Uo to enter the wall. In that moment, Luan found himself overcome by not feeling. The enemy manufactured a fake elixir of life that required deep understanding of Taoism. Daoshi. Would they not be familiar with the Daoshi's skills? Meanwhile, oblivious of Luan's uncertainty, Ling Ling's upper body and right hand passed through the wall. At that precise moment, someone stuck a seal on the wall. Oh, that's bad.
壁抜けを禁じられた。
Uh-oh. Could that just kill her outright? Unable to move in either direction, Ling Ling flailed around like a beached fish. A group of armed men shoved their guns into her face. Their eventually spaced formation not only maximized their firepower, but also gave one a sense of funeral rite. The next moment, their muzzles all lit up, accompanied by a deafening sound. Okay. Yes. You're watching an eye catch. It's evil, game.
師匠!
Alright, it's not my fault we're ending there. Because it autosaves at like books. So if I continue, I have to go into the next book or else I have to like pick it up later. This is apparently the perfect place to end it. But that's a cliffhanger! What is this game? It is the most insane thing ever. Like, it just takes it from 0 to 100 so fast. It goes from just this funny, goofy thing to just insanity in like the drop of a hat. And then of course, like, it can't even just keep the tone of intense and craziness. But then it has like the super buff guy who's literally about to like kill people have like an anime ringtone. What tone? Like, what is this? It's actually kind of brilliant, if I'm honest. I am very much a fan, although it's blowing my mind, and I can kind of see why Steam had an issue with this initially. Yeah, it's the subject matter, I'm guessing, but that's alright. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel. Let's figure out what the heck happens next time. Wow. Like, just wow. I am really, really captivated by the storytelling, and like the fact that it can do so much character development and like plot in such a short amount of time. Like, I love things like Steins Gate and Love Love. You probably know that by now. Like, they're still some of my best stories, but like, look how much this story has been able to cover, and so eloquently and so well in such a short amount of time. Like, it's pretty impressive. Shows a lot of care and talent went into the writing of this script. And thanks again to the translator. I wish I could thank you in person, because I think the translation's done a good job. I don't know, maybe you have if you know and understand Japanese fluently, maybe you have insight on that, but from what I can tell, it sounds like it was great, and I like how approachable the translation is. Like, it seems like something that helps me grasp, and the metaphoric and descriptive language is well crafted. So like the translator, when he was here, it seems like he not only understood the language, but he also just understood writing in general, which I think is a big part of this. So thanks again for him. I wish. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for being here today. Thanks so much for joining me on the channel. As always, it's a pleasure having you here. I look forward to seeing this again next week. I hope you stick around for it. And the many other visual novels I've gone through in the channel. If you're looking for something to watch and you are like tired of waiting for something for the next episode, like, feel free to check the backlog. I got a lot of good stuff for you. But until next video, watch with me. I will see you next. I'll see you there.